Hi all. Today we are going to discuss about chapter for the 8th standard, that is the second chapter that comes into the science textbook, that is microorganism, friend and foe. So here what we are discussing is what are microorganisms. Some of the microorganisms are friend to us, some of them are foe to us. That means they do some bad things to us. We can call it as enemy, like that we can say. So we in this chapter we have to discuss what are these microorganisms, why we call them as micro, what are the different types of microorganisms, what are the microorganisms which are friend to us, and what all are the microorganisms which are foe to us or not useful or enemy to us. And there's another part is coming. If it is an enemy, how we can control them. So these are the things what we are going to discuss from this chapter. So the term microorganism means, micro means, for example, if I am taking micro means small, organism means, I think you might have studied about the organ system, that is the basic part will be cell. From the cell, group of cells functioning together gives a tissue. Group of tissues, that means group of cells function for a single purpose, is known as organ, and group of organ together makes an organism. This is the structure how it is goes. Cell is the basic, group of cells combines together to form tissues, that means with which they can perform a single function. Group of such tissues which can function for a single purpose makes an organ, and group of this organ together makes an organism. For example, in humans, inside us, we have lot of organs. Example, heart, liver, kidney, skin, intestines, muscles, bones, all of them are known as organ, which is formed from a particular type of tissue, and all this organ together makes us an organism, which makes us living. So here we have to discuss what are these micro means small, organism means which are having many such things, many such organs inside that which do a function. And we have to understand one thing, these microorganisms we can't see with our naked eye. There are some few exceptional cases are there where we can see, but the maximum number of cases, these microorganisms we can't see with our naked eye. For this, we have to use microscopes. And there are many microorganisms are there, which includes, if you are discussing about the types of microorganisms, it comes, first comes is bacteria, second comes is fungus or fungi, and the third comes is protozoans, and fourth, that is viruses. But there's a small change is there in viruses, because viruses are not considered as, that means if you see this bacteria, fungi and protozoan, they all of them they follow some certain set of rules or certain set of characteristics, but viruses they don't follow that, because bacteria can live, they reproduce, they are fine, that means every time they are coming under a living form. But these viruses, whenever they get a proper host, that means a proper body, then only they will live, that means then only they will reproduce. Other times they will be dormant in somewhere, They said that there are a lot of viruses inside the sea, there are a lot of viruses in the terrestrial organ and organism terrestrial field. But how many viruses are there? We don't know. From where it is has originated, that is also not true. But we know only one thing, that these viruses are living and non-living both. Whenever they are getting a host, they are living, but whenever there is no host, they are dormant. They will be silent somewhere. And one of the example in the recent times, which is running with the COVID, the same way. That virus, the self-replicating virus, that is a different form. Anyway, this virus was inside some. The scientists believe that it was inside some organism. It was not doing any, not that means they are not virulent, that means not causing any disease to that. But when somehow it came out and it started to cause disease to us. So this is what. So viruses are also microorganisms, because we can't see viruses with our naked eye. But still, it is not put under this category because of 3-4 reasons. That is, bacteria is every time living. They have a special mode of reproduction. Fungus, all time living. They have special form of reproduction. Protozoans, they are also living. They also have a special mode of reproduction. But viruses don't follow that characteristics. Because of that, your textbook has given bacteria, fungi, protozoan, but they mentioned also about viruses, but we will study these viruses separately. First, we will discuss about bacteria. What are these bacteria? The first person to see, because if we know a little bit of the history, how these things are came to our study material, that will be very good. The first person to see a living cell under a microscope, his name is Anton van Leeuwenhoek. Anton van Leeuwenhoek. He is the first person to see a living cell under the microscope. But he was not confirmed with that. There are a lot of stories and histories as behind that. I am not entering into those things. He was not confirmed with that. So he sent his findings to a society, that is Academy of Sciences, to England at that time. That is in 17th and 18th century. And there, a scientist known as Robert Hooke, he is the first person to say that under the microscope they found something like an honeybee comb, like this. They found something and he called it as cell. Cell means a compartment, very congested area, that is known as cell, which when we translate into English it is meaning compartment. This is a brief history behind how they found out cell. After that, many of the scientists, many of them started to study about this, because it was the first information to the world that there is something microscopic which can function, which can do some functions in our body, which is responsible to do some functions, etc. That those things came. That time, the people started to study about. People was knowing about diseases very far before. There are a lot of diseases are there ever recorded, like plague. Uh, then well, plague was there, fever, common fever was there. Many such diseases were existing from the biblical times, but people were not knowing with how we are getting these diseases, why we are getting these diseases. But some people, some community know how to protect from these diseases. They have some medicines and some treatments as available, but they don't know what causes these diseases. So they started to study. When they started to study, the first thing what they found is protozoans. First thing. Why protozoans? Because earlier I told you that Anton van Leeuwenhoek was the first person to send some details about the he found something under the microscope which is living. Recently, after Anton van Leeuwenhoek's death, the scientists came to know that what Anton van Leeuwenhoek was found under the microscope was a protozoan. So we can consider that the first known structure of a living form is a protozoan. After that, they found out about bacteria, which is having a proper cell structure. They found out fungi, which is a sac-like structure. And there are a lot of uses for bacteria, there are a lot of uses for fungus, there are a lot of uses for protozoans. So we have to discuss this one by one. What are the uses of fungus, bacteria? What are the uses of fungi? What are the uses of protozoans? For example, if you're taking bacteria, if you take bacteria into the effect, the bacterial cell you will study later anyway. If you take about the bacteria, when you see bacteria under the microscope, it looks like this. It looks like this with some genetic material to the middle, and some bacteria are having a long tail like this. They are very simple, very simple. Since one cell do all the functions, so these bacteria are put under a category known as unicellular, because this particular cell will do all the functions, whatever is required for the existence of this full organism. So if you see this bacteria, it is very interesting. They have a outer layer which is called as the plasma membrane. We will study about this in the chapter that is cell. We will study cell as a living unit. In such a chapter we will study. And some genetic material is given to the middle. And this genetic material is also very interesting. This genetic material don't have any covering. That means there is no cover around them. Since there is no covering around them, again these unicellular, that means the bacteria which is known as unicellular, they are called as prokaryotes. This is just for your information. I am saying we will study this in another chapter how they look like, and they have some living plasm over here. Inside this, they all are filled with living plasm, and they do all the functions whatever they want, taking your food, understanding about the environment, everything they have. And apart from that, some of the bacteria, they have something on the surface which we call it as cilia. With this cilia, it is used for the support to some of the substrate, and some of the bacteria are movable, some are immovable. That means some can move, some shows movement, some don't show movement. So any organism which shows movement, they have a long whip-like structure which is known as flagella on them. So this is the basic structure of bacteria. This we will discuss later. Just for your understanding, I have said. So here we will be concentrating not about the structure, but we will be concentrating what are the uses of bacteria. That means, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of bacteria. If you are taking about bacteria, there are a lot of bacteria. First, we should discuss about the advantages of bacteria. We can see that bacteria are very useful. For example, number one, there is one bacteria is known as lactobacilli. This lactobacilli species is found inside the milk, and this lactobacilli species is helping to produce. That means it helps in the formation of curd. Since it is helping in the formation of curd, it is also used as a probiotic. Probiotic means which is helping in the case of digestion. They are helping. Number two, few bacteria. There are a lot of bacteria, are there few of the bacteria. They are helping inside the cheese fermentation process. Few of them. Number three, some bacteria are helping. That some bacteria are present inside our body. That means inside our intestine there is one bacteria is there which is called as E. coli. E. coli. It is having a lot of role inside our body. One role is this E. coli help for absorption of water, and another useful use of this bacteria is they helps to secrete one enzyme known as cellulase. This enzyme will help to digest the raw food material. That means whatever the green vegetables we are taking as raw without cooking, that will be digested with the help of this enzyme. So that is secreted by E. coli. This E. coli is living inside our body as a symbiotic association. That means our body gives the area for living to them, and they are supporting. Instead of that, they are supporting in or helping us in two ways. One in absorption of water, another one in helping to secrete cellulase enzyme. Number four, many bacteria, since inside the bacteria there is a structure is there apart from the genetic material, they have a circular structure is there. Since few bacteria there are some circular structure is there which is called as plasmids. These plasmids, since some few of the bacteria having these plasmids are helpful for a modern day technology known as genetic engineering. Why? Because these plasmids they can transfer from this particular bacteria to another bacteria. There are some process techniques are there we don't want to study. So few of the bacteria are helping in genetic engineering also. Like this, there are a lot of uses are there. There are some bacteria are helping for the formation of some enzymes. There are bacteria are there which supports for the secretion of proteins. Like that, there are n number of uses are there for this bacteria. Same way, how the bacteria are useful to us. There are many bacteria are there which is causing diseases to us. Such, for example, if you take in the disadvantage part of bacteria, I'll give one example, that is cholera, which is a very common disease. It is caused by bacteria. Number two, leprosy. It is caused by a bacteria known as Mycobacterium leprae. and there are some bacteria are there which causes tuberculosis, which is discovered by Robert Koch, which is called as M. tuberculate. Like that, there are a lot of disadvantages are also there for bacteria. That means it can cause disease, it will spoil the food material, plus um, it also help us to get immunity. That is comes inside the advantage part. I have not said there. Same way, since these diseases are coming to us, our body will get immune to us. So these are the main things you have to know about this bacteria. And bacteria comes in various different shapes and size. Some are bacilli, that means some are coma shaped, some are spiruli, that is spring thread like shapes. Like that, it comes in various shapes and sizes. So these are the main things you have to understand from bacteria. That is, what are the advantages of bacteria, what are the disadvantages of bacteria. Next one, we will move to fungi. Word fungi means a sac-like structure. Means a sac-like structure. That means if you see the fungus under microscope, it's very interesting. It will be having a structure like this, almost, and on the top they will be having something like this, and there they will live. So under the microscope, when they are living, they found like a sac-like structure. So they call it as fungi. Same way, how the bacteria are there, funguses are also useful. That means there are advantages for the fungus and there are disadvantages for the fungus too. If you are going for the advantages, fungus is one among the species from where we are producing maximum antibiotics. Maximum antibiotics are produced from fungus. And one of the best example, that is the first antibiotic, for example, penicillin, is produced from a fungus known as Penicillium notatum. Penicillium notatum. So these funguses are also helping us like this. Apart from that, there are some funguses are there for number 2. There are funguses are there which is responsible to do fermentation process. Very important. Fermentation. And the most common fermentation species which we are using is, example goes for yeast. Biological name is S. cerevisiae. I have some limitations here, that's why. And the full form goes as Saccharomyces cerevisiae. It is helping in fermentation. And one of the best example that when whatever the products we are making inside the kitchen, for example idli, naan, etc., inside that we are using this Saccharomyces cerevisiae as a major organism for the process of fermentation. Apart from that, there are some it is also used in the production of wine. There are some funguses are helpful for the production of vinegar, and there are some funguses are giving some medicines which is helping us to do, which protects our body and which gives us immunity to us. So like this, there are a lot of advantages are there for the fungus too. And if you are coming to the disadvantage part of the fungus, this fungus is having a, are coming under a nutrition known as saprophytic nutrition. Saprophytic nutrition means they depends on dead bodies, or they depends on, or they grow on the dead remains of plants and animals to take their food materials, whatever they are needed. So if you're discussing about the disadvantages of fungus, one of the main examples which we can see in life, that is bread mold. If you look the bread mold means if you look to the bread after keeping for a long time inside refrigerator, or when you keep outside for a long time, you can see that a black or a yellow colored thing, something like this, grows on the bread, which is known as bread mold. Otherwise, it is also called as rhizopus. The full name is Rhizopus stoniferum. You don't want to know that it is known as Rhizopus. And there are some fungus are there which can cause diseases to plants also, to animals also. And the fungus, there is one speciality is there. Fungus will never grow in all the time. That means we will never see fungus maximum in all the times. Fungus need one thing very properly. They need a moisture content. First one, they need water content in the atmosphere. Number two, they need temperature control. That means temperature should be 28 and less. Then only this fungus can cause some infections or disease to us. This is very common in our body. For example, in winter season, when the temperatures go below 20 or 15, you can see some white color patches on our skin. White color patches on our skin. That is also a fungal infection. And same way as they are destroying this, same way they are causing some diseases in rice plants also, and in some other plants also. For example, citrus diseases, bolting, like this, they are causing these type of diseases in plants also. So in the both the ways, fungus is also advantages. We have advantage also, we have disadvantages also. Advantages we are using for our benefits. Disadvantages we are trying to control them. How to control? By giving some antibiotics, medicines, or making that area clear from moisture and other things. So there are disadvantages and advantages for the function for the fungus also. The next one we will come to protozoans. Protozoans are very interesting. Very interesting. Protozoans are very interesting. Most of the protozoans, not more, many of them, all of them, you can say all of them, they are aquatic in nature. Aquatic in nature means they live in water. Since they are living in water, if you see, they are heterotrophic in nutrition. That means they can live, they can take nutrition directly. That means they can make food by themselves, some of them, and some of them can take nutrition from other organisms. So protozoans, most of them, they live in water. That means especially we can see protozoans in both freshwater and in marine waters. If you see the advantages and disadvantages of protozoan, these protozoans are helpful for the processing of sludge. That means in the waste treatment plant. And if it is seen for the disadvantage of protozoans, it causes disease. One such disease is known as amoebiasis. Amoebiasis means amoeba is a protozoan. When we drink some water, amoeba is a freshwater living. When we drink some water, which is rich, which have more amoeba inside that, this amoeba can cause some infection to our stomach and our body. And many of these protozoans can live in higher organisms, for example, Plasmodium, etc., which is flagellated protozoans, which is a which can cause malaria in us. So these are the main things that comes under protozoans. And the most important thing that is which is very useful to us is bacteria and fungi. Another class that is called as virus. This virus can be we can discuss virus later as a separate topic. So I'm concluding this. If there is any doubts, queries, or any mistakes I have done, please comment it in on the comment box. Thank you.